All right, we're going to begin learning how to color line art in Photoshop. Line art would be a term that refers to black and white line art, no colors at all, and how to add color to that. And it's not as simple as just using the paint bucket, selecting an area with the wand and filling it with the paint bucket. The reason that that's not good is because it'll eventually degrade the lines over time. So we need to separate those black lines from the color we're going to use. And so that's what we're going to do. First, in Canvas, I want you to get from today's lecture the sample art, which is, let's see here, there we go. Okay, this picture of Batman right there in the support files. Just press on it and drag it on top of your Photoshop icon, and then it'll open up in Photoshop. And it is a bitmap file, which means it's, if you go to image mode, and you'll see that it's bitmap, and that is the lowest information file you can have, but it's strictly black and white. The pixels are either black or white. They're not gray at all. And this is a great way to save line art for illustration if you don't need grays for coloring later. So this is bitmap art, and we want to give it color. Well, we can't do any colors in bitmap mode because bitmap is strictly black and white. So we have to switch it to the RGB color mode. But you go to mode and you realize it's grayed out. I can't do it. There's an intermediate step. Before it'll let you go to RGB color, you have to click on grayscale. And just click OK here. And it is now in grayscale mode. And now you see these other options are open to you. You can go to RGB color now, which is what we want, and click on that. And now, of course, there is no color, but we have now made it possible to have color. You'll notice here in the fill color there that it's now purple, where it wasn't before. Okay, and as far as resolution, your images should be really high quality. Mine's at almost 7 by 11 inches, and it's 600 resolution, 600 pixels per inch, and that's good. You don't want to be less than that. Okay, so we've got that, and now before we start working, we need to set up the tools. The tools have to be set up to make for optimum performance and selection, and we're going to set the lasso and the marquee. So we're going to get the lasso tool, and I'll just get I'll get the polygonal lasso tool. It's the one we're going to use the most. And up here at the top, make sure that anti-alias is off. Anti-alias, when it's on, that means it helps you fudge between one color and another, or one value and another. It'll throw in intermediate colors. But we're going to be working very exactly, and we don't want it to throw in anything extra for us. We want exactly what we select and no more. So we want that off. Also for feather, for the same reason, we want that 0. Okay, no feathering, no anti-alias, and I've got the lasso tool selected. All right, next I'm going to go to the marquee tool. That's the one with the dash lines. Same thing here. Make sure that the feather is 0. Okay, and let's see, lasso marquee. Let's go to the magic wand. We're going to be using this, and this one we are going to take off anti-alias, which is already off. Contiguous, that'll be on and off depending on what we're doing. Let's see, I'll take that off right now. Sample all layers, make sure that that's off. So all these need to be off to begin with. All right, and then the tolerance level, we're going to reduce that way down. We want to put a 2 in there, really as low as possible to actually get something. A 1 doesn't really work well, but a 2 is really where we want to be. Okay, so we don't want anything extra. We want only exactly the colors we are looking for. So put a 2 there. All right, so that's part of our tools setup. The marquee is, everything's unchecked. The lasso is unchecked. And if you change lassos, like I just changed it to the regular one, make sure that it's unlocked. Do the magnetic, make sure that that's unlocked. Okay, but we're going to be using the polygonal mostly. Okay, so we've set these 3 tools. All right, now we're going to do something you're not used to working with. We're going to work with the channels. That's down here next to the layers. So I'm going to go to the channels, and notice how it's RGB, the red, the green, the blue, and then there's a channel with all 3 of them combined. Well, we're going to add a new channel, and it's going to be the channel to put our line art on, and then we're going to take it off of these. So to make a new channel, I've got to go to the flyout menu, these horizontal white lines. I got to click on that, and I'm going to ask for new channel. Okay, not anything else, not that. This one here at the top, new channel is what I want. Click on there. And then there's some settings. I'm going to type in black for the name, because all of our black is going to go on this channel, and then we're going to take the black off of these other channels and it'll be other colors. We do want it to be for the masked areas. That means if we select something and fill it in, that part's going to be black. 100% opacity, and the color we want to be black. It says it's black, but let's click on it and make sure it's a pure black. So RGB 000, that is a pure black, and that's what we want. So I'll click OK. All right, so we've done that. All right, and now notice how that channel fills in solid black. The others just turned off. It's okay, they're still there, but they've turned off. Okay, and now I want to go in here, and I'll turn these other colors on, and I'm going to click on this RGB channel, and I'm going to do select all, Command A, so that the marching ants are going all the way around the block. Okay, in fact, if I turn off the black, you'll see this is what I'm selecting right here. And notice I'm selecting it from the red, the green, and the blue channel, because if I were to turn some of them off, you would see that the art's still there. So I want from every single channel this image selected. So I've got it selected, and now now that they are selected, I'm gonna copy this, Command C, and then I'm going to go down to the black image here, and when I click on it, the eye turns on, and I'm going to paste. In fact, I'll do paste in place, Shift Command V, and the art comes in, the white and the black. It all comes in to the black channel. Okay, so what that means is I don't really need it on the other channels because it's here on this channel. So I'm going to go to layers, because the image is on the layer, on layer 1, and I can actually delete this image from this layer, and everything will be white, but then I'll be able to see the image by turning on my new extra channel, the black channel. I'll be able to see it. So I can go to layer, and to get rid of this image, I've got to unclick the lockbox. I got to uncheck it, turn it to layer 0. All right, and once I do that, let's see here. There, I could select it and delete it, but there's a more thorough way to. What I actually want this to do, I don't want this layer to be empty or transparent. I want it to be white, filled completely with white. And to make sure that I totally get everything and don't leave anything out, I can go up to the top of my screen where it says Edit, and then I can go down to Fill, and I'm going to fill this layer, and it says Contents. Fill it with what? I'm going to fill it with white, and I'll click OK. And now the entire layer has been filled with white, and you might panic and think, well, the image is gone. That's no good. Well, it is gone, And if I were to click print and try to print this, I would get a white sheet of paper. But notice I've still got this black channel here. If I click on that channel, I can see the black art, but it's in stealth mode. You can see if I go back to layers, there's nothing on that little rectangle. If I were to print this, it would still print white, but I've got the black image kind of in stealth mode. It's in the background there, and I'm just going to use it for a guide to color, because that way I can make sure that all the coloring I do does not interfere with or interact with the black art at all. Because that way the line art, see how fine it is, all these little tiny lines? We want to protect that, and we don't want it to degrade at all over time. So I've got this all set up. This is now set up to work on. All right, now that the file is set up to work on, we're going to do a process called flatting, and that is to create flat colors. And it's less about coloring the artwork than it is about separating shapes, objects from one another. So we're going to start with giving the background a one solid color. So I'm going to get the marquee tool, and then I'm going to get maybe a blue here. I'll just click on that blue. I'll get the paint bucket and click on it. And notice in the layers there I've got a blue color. Alright, so I'll get the ants to go away with Command D. Now I'm going to start using the polygonal lasso. And remember, now that I've got that background color in, I'm going to start working from foreground to background. And I'm going to start with big shapes and then go to smaller shapes. So what I'm going to do now is use this lasso to surround this gun in hand, and I'm trying to get the line of the lasso halfway between the black line. Hopefully you can see that. That makes I have to think in terms of the inks when this thing is printed, that I've got to leave some room for the printing press to have some variance, or the paper to have some variance and jiggle a little bit in the process. So I don't want to go right up to the edge of the black. I want to be about halfway in the middle of a black line. And sometimes when the lines get skinny, it's tough. You have to be careful not to double click or it'll close your shape up. If you double clicked and your shape closes up before you're ready, you can just hold down the shift key and get the lasso tool and just add to your shape and start it again. And when you have a lot of black, you don't have to be as careful. Okay, so I've got this, and again, trying to do that. Oops, I can fix that in a minute. All right, but notice I'm trying to get halfway. And then again, don't have to be careful here because it's all black. And again, here and there, around there. And then I got to surround it, go back up where I started, double click, and there's my shape. And now I'm going to pick a color that makes no sense at all, because right now the color doesn't matter. I just need to separate the shapes from one another. So, hey, hot pink. So that's just to separate this shape from the background. That's the only purpose. All right, so now I'm gonna work on Batman himself, and I'm gonna pause the video and show you what I get when I'm done. Okay, I've used the lasso. I've surrounded Batman, the shape, just the whole general shape. Notice I cut through the gun right there, and you may wonder, why'd you do that? I'm going to pick a dark purple for him. The reason I did is because the way the paint bucket, the tolerance of the paint bucket needs to be down to 2. Okay, and because now if it is, and I click here, the tolerance of the paint bucket will stop it from invading the gun area, even though I've got the lasso around part of it. That's because the tolerance is so low. It's only tolerating a color